Hi everyone, Golf Pro here. So this is Fitness Week. Welcome. So we're going to go through some exercises over the course of the week, which will really help with your flexibility and your strength, and hopefully increase your power and your ability to swing faster while being stable. But before we get into those, we need to talk about our posture. So how we stand and how we set up is really important. Because if we do it incorrectly, in the wrong way, it's going to restrict movements, it's going to make us use muscles that aren't really designed to be moved and used in those kind of ways, and it's going to eventually, for youngsters later on in life, cause lots of back problems, shoulder problems, and you are adults who are watching, this is for you as well. Maybe you are finding that you are having these back problems and or shoulder problems as you play golf. And this is maybe a little bit of an insight to why those things are happening. Now, you've probably seen a lot of adverts on the internet or people talking about it, but I wanted to cover this through and give you a few exercises to try and correct and get us into the right posture. So what we're seeing a lot of is sort of this rounded shoulder, or as Mike calls it, the hunchback of Notre Dame. So it's the shoulder blades, which are these parts here, the blades in the back, these big bones, a lot of muscles connect into those as well, and they need to move, but everything's rounded, we're sort of hunched over. And also we could see some problems with our pelvis. So if we look at it here, we could see butt out, okay, which is called our sort of anterior pelvic tilt, okay, or S posture, or underneath. Okay, so we're seeing it rounded, is known as our C posture, and that's called posterior pelvic tilt. So you youngsters maybe not seen too much what's happening going on in the pelvis. We may do, especially if certain areas of our body or muscles are tight. But what we do see, and what I see a lot of in the junior academy and also adults as well, is this rounding of the shoulders. And if we don't correct this, everything that we do from this point on in terms of other exercises that we'll be covering in the videos coming this week and later on as well, that I'll be showing you as we go, we won't be able to do those exercises correctly. They won't help your golf. If anything, they're going to just hurt you and injure you and make problems later down the line. So it's really vital that we get this posture. So if we find, I'm just going to let you just take a moment now, and I just want to see if you are, when you're just standing nice and relaxed, our shoulders forward rounded there, okay? Chin will probably be out a little bit as well, looking a bit like a Neanderthal. So just have a moment, check. And adults as well, let your children check your posture as well. Now, it's not your fault if you're in this is just a lifestyle thing. We're on our phones, we're playing games, we're sat at school, we're sat at computers, everything is always pulling us this way, okay? So don't feel bad if you are, if you do have sort of this rounded posture when you're just standing normally, but it does mean that we do need to fix it, okay? So if we checked and if you're fine and you're not trying to pull back and everything's thing, and you're actually finding it tight across the chest here, and we're sort of, just nice and relaxed. Be honest with yourself, because otherwise we won't be able to help you and we won't be able to move on from here. Okay, but if you are honestly struggling with this, don't worry. Here's a few, this is what's happening, and then I'm going to go through some exercises. So because we are at a computer or on our phone or playing games, what's happened is that our shoulders are being pulled forward a lot, and the muscles in our back, across the top of our back here, between our scapula, our shoulder blades or our scapulars, and around what our spine here is called the thoracic region of our spine. That's where all our rotation comes from when we're in the golf swing. All that has gone forward, okay? So we've restricted the space for the rotation of the thoracic, okay? And with these shoulders going forward, our pectoral muscles, which are these chest muscles here, they have got shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and got really, really tight. So they haven't been able to go back to where they should be. Okay, so what we're looking for eventually is this posture, okay? So nice and relaxed, shoulders back and down, chest out, chin up, there nice and tall, okay? And we'll get onto the pelvis adults later once the kids are gone, because that will probably be more directed at you, okay? Cool. So if we are struggling these, what we need to do is we need to open up our thoracic region of our spine. Also, a little bit of back work would be really useful. Okay, but we're just going to show you 2 exercises that you could do at home without having to go in gym and get special equipment, to hopefully open up these regions. Okay, so for the first exercise, what we're going to do is sort out our thoracic region of our spine. So I've got my driver here. It's not quite long enough, really. You may see that. I'm just going to move right back. I want to be as nice and wide, and you can see I'm just missing a little bit there, but I've got to do what I've got to make do what I've got. If you've got a long bamboo cane or big sort of like a broom handle, children, use your mom or dad's golf clubs. That'll be wide enough for you. Okay, adults, you may have to find something or improvise. So I'm sorry about that. I'm doing it too. Okay, so I'm just going to change the setup. And I'm going to talk you through what we're going to do here. Okay, see you in a bit. So we want to have a bit of room for this one because we're going to be lying down on our front, forehead to the floor, arms stretched out as far as we can. And we're going to use our hand or one of our hands to pivot round, and we're going to use our opposite arm to move as far round and behind us over the back of our shoulder to really stretch out those points between the two, get those shoulders back and down, and really open up that area around our thoracic. So we want to be doing this 5 on each side, so 10 total a day, and that's really going to improve your posture. Okay, so I hope you got that. We want our arms nice and wide, and we're really opening up those shoulders and getting more space for our thoracics in our back to rotate. Okay, so the reason why we want that to happen is that the thoracics is our mobile section of our spine when it comes to rotation. It's all coming through there on the backswing. And if we have problems in our thoracics, we have problems with our lower back here called our lumbar part of our spine down in here. And that is really, the lumbars are not designed for twisting, it's designed for this. Okay, you can see here, it's all happening here, isn't it? Okay, when I go into rotation, it's all up in here, whereas our thoracics are here. Okay, so the lumbars are designed really to rotate by like 2 degrees. It's not a lot. If you think about a driver is 10 degrees, your putter is actually about 2 to 4 degrees worth of loft on it. It's hardly anything. So if we have a problem up here, then we're going to ask too much of our lumbars down here, and then they're going to try and twist, and then that's where all the pain comes from, because you get inflammation because we're asking that area of our back to do too much of what it's not designed to do. Okay, so we're going to move on to the pec stretch now to really get that back, to really emphasize, clear that space for that thoracic region so we can get that really big rotation without putting pressure on the lower back. Okay, let's go for the pecs. So that helps us open up our shoulders and get that more mobility around our thoracic spine while it's nice and straight, so we're getting more there. Now you may have found that as you do it, if you had it when you have a go, or if you had a go, is that we're really tight in here, and that's fine, but we want to stretch those out. So if we're doing that exercise, we want to be doing this exercise as well, and we want to stretch out our pecs. Now our pecs, what happens is they attach in here and in here, up in here, our pec major and pec minor. So we want to, and then attach into our sternum over here. So actually what we want to, when we stretch a muscle, we want to get those 2 points of where they attach to a bone to extend away from each other as much as we can. So bear that in mind. If you're doing stretches, work that out for yourself. You could think, oh, okay, I need to get a little bit more, this point and this point here to go away from each other. Okay, so this is where we're going to use the door. Essentially what I'm going to have, and I'll do it from this side first, on the left side, is we're going to have our arm flat to the wall. We want to get this part of our arm, here, our shoulder right on the tip, we want to get that up against here, okay? And what that's going to do is that's going to anchor these connecting points up this side, okay? So once we've done that up against there, bosh, There we go, up against there. All we're trying to do is push our chest out, and if you find that you need a little bit more of a stretch, look down to the opposite way of the arm that you're using. So I'm just leaning into the door frame here. It's just stretching out. If we want to get even more stretch, we can pull the left shoulder back. So we're really stretching this point and this point, which is behind the door here, away from each other as much as we can. Good. Try and hold it for sort of 45 seconds to a minute. Really don't bounce, don't go, stretch it and unstretch it. Ooh, that hurt. So that's a prime example why we don't do it. It will hurt. And we can cause problems, but we're going to be looking there. So I'm stretching back with the other arm to really try and open up our chest, work on this shoulder as well as we do it, and hold it for as long as we can, or for 45 seconds to a minute preferably. Okay, and then we're back. Okay, and then we can turn around and use the same thing on this side. Okay, so those are the two stretches. I'm just going to step back up over here. Okay, so we stretched our pecs out and we've got some our shoulders back and opened up our shoulders a little bit more and getting more rotation or more space around our thoracic spine so it can actually turn properly because it wants to be straight to turn. Okay, so we sorted up here, we need to sort down here to protect that lower back and also help us improve our golf game, whether it's through rotation or the stability and just being able to have full range of motion or the most amount of range of motion that we can. Okay, so the most common problem we see in the pelvis with golfers is that this gets rounded here and then this gets rounded here. So this is called posterior pelvic tilt, where it's tilted this way, our pelvis is tilted this way. Okay, and that restricts, oh, I can't move my hips, oh my goodness. Yeah, it restricts a lot of movement here. Again, asking too much of our lumbars to do all the twisting, then we get back pain, lower back pain. Okay, so even if you don't play golf adults and you're sat down a lot, what's happened there is that as we sit down, because we've taken, we're not having to use our leg to keep that in that position, we're just shortened, the muscles that we're going to talk about are relaxed, so they get shortened. So there's two areas of muscles. We've got the hamstrings, which are the flexion muscles down the back of our leg here. We've probably heard about that one. So they connect in here and they connect in here. Okay, so it's along the back here. The other one is called our hip flexor. Okay, and that helps us with this. But when we're not actually physically making it go up, what's happening is, again, getting shorter and shorter. Where that connects is actually in our spine here, and it goes through our body, round the front of our legs here, and then into our femur there. Okay, so that's where that muscle is. Okay, so we got to remember our connecting points help us with the stretch. So hamstrings here and here, hip flexors in our spine, around and then underneath. Okay, so these 2 points here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we're going to start off with our hamstring. So there's a really common hamstring which is trying to touch our toes or sitting down and trying to touch our toes. Now, I don't particularly like that one because it encourages poor posture. I'll show you this right now. Okay, so quite often I think it's like, oh, I can touch my toes. Okay, oh, there we go. We've got this posterior pelvic tilt and we've got rounded shoulders and we're twisting us, we're bending our spine in the wrong way. So it's encouraging that really poor posture. Again, so if we are going to do that, shoulders back and down, chest out, and we want to bend from here, not in here. Okay, so it's there and we're reaching, toes, bang, there. Good stretch. Okay, but an easier one to do, and this is one I find that we could probably do on the golf course a lot easier as well, especially if it's wet. We don't want to be sitting down in the wet. So we've got a wall here, or it could be like a sleeper on the golf course, or we can use a tree or something. If we're getting a bit tight on the golf course, we can put our foot up against that tree or that wall, our back foot, the one that we're not going to stretch, we're going to stretch our front leg here, okay? And what we want to do is we want to get this anterior pelvic tilt. We want to tilt the pelvis this way. Now you may find just standing up and just pulling this back, you already get a stretch in your hamstring. Done. Okay, 45 seconds to a minute. Hold that there. But as we get better, we can push towards our wall there, and that's helping us as well, getting our shoulder blades blackened down, stretching out there, and we can take it further, 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 as far as we need to, okay? And then we'll do the other leg. So foot out, back there, boom, pop that butt up, okay? And then it's bam, hold it, there we go, okay? So that's a hamstring. You can see there by doing this, we're getting this connecting point and this connecting point here for all those muscles to go away from each other. That's really important. So next one's the hip flexor. So we're going to get, come this way a bit more. So we're going to get sort of, imagine we're proposing to someone and we've got this foot, this leg here, we want to be at a right angle. And so is this one here. And remember, it's connecting up in here and down underneath our legs. So what we're going to do is we want to try and keep our pelvis thing, so we're not cheating, pushing that forward. We're not trying to twist it. Imagine we've got a pole right through here and we're just going to push forward and we can lean back as well. There we go. So we're making this connecting point here and the other connecting point as far away from each other as possible, and then we're stretching, and you may feel it up inside your tummy here, and that's good, we're getting stretched, but it's mainly going to be around here that we're going to feel it more. Okay, there. And then nice and gentle coming back up. Okay, so switching over, see from this side, so angles there, all good, nice posture. There, keeping there, all feeling it up in here. So there we go. 45 seconds to a minute, not 45 minutes, 45 seconds to a minute on each one. And we want to do these every single day if possible. If we're finding these problems. Rome wasn't built in a day. We're not going to see immediate changes. It's going to be slow build over time, but we want to do them as often and as possible and correctly, so that we don't injure ourselves and we actually see a change and see improvement, which will essentially give you a better lifestyle, you know, better well-being. You know, we won't get so many problems with our back, which will be fantastic. You know, that pain always hanging in, we're going to feel like we can actually get up and be active, especially at this time, you know, in these unprecedented times that we have now. But in general, once this is all over, keeping it up there, because we will find that we're improving our golf game, we're getting better into better positions and the positions that we want to get in our golf swing, and therefore generate more power, generate a better centered strike, keeping our balance, and just play better golf. And then have, but more importantly, really, in a way, is, you know, being fit and keeping fit and being able to actually play golf and prolong how long you can play golf for. Okay, so I'll stop rambling now. As you may notice, I'm quite passionate about this, but I think it's vitally important. So get those exercises down, practice those, or do those every single day for the coming weeks until we see it. You know, you'll keep at it, and you will see an improvement to your posture. And then the exercises that we're going to see this week will actually do something. Okay. Anyway, so stay safe, practice safe, stay fit and healthy. Okay, Charlie out.